Welcome back to the Leadership Lab, the show where we explore human side of performance, transformation, and growth. Today's guest is Cynthia Appiah, a certified life coach and master's level social worker who helps individuals navigate emotional resilience, identity, and personal transformation. Cynthia, welcome, and let's start with your story. I'd love to hear more about it and the audience as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on this podcast. I think it's an honor. So a little bit about me. Yes, you were right. I am a trained social worker. Being a social worker actually helped me develop my business model, right?
Yeah.
That we're going to get into a little bit. So I worked it as an educational hospital for a long time. And although I loved what I was doing, I was really burnt out because I really wanted to do a good job. And every day, I can help somebody just so much, but when they still go home, they still have stressors, right? They still have maybe food insecurity, and I couldn't help beyond just the medical portion.
Yeah.
So, and prior to obtaining my master's in social welfare, and I worked in the hospital. Before that, I was in the same hospital as a insurance. They call it like insurance verification analyst, patient access. So I had 7 years of insurance knowledge, reimbursement. So the doctors knew me from the insurance side, right? So now that I have an office as a social worker, they came to me like, "Hey, Cynthia, can you please help us verify the insurance? Can you help us do?" And I did that, but then my caseload, right? I had to do what they asked, and then my caseload, and it was just like I lost 10 pounds, and I was like, I can't. This is not the life I want, right? Because I was always a very creative person. But I never knew that the creativity really had a purpose, right? I never knew that that was my marketing side, being very creative, giving people strategy advice, strategic advice, training. Every job I had since the age of 13, they will always promote me to be a trainer. And every manager, vice president that I sat in front of, they said, "Wow, Cynthia, we like your designs." I had no idea of what I could become, right? So this was developing me. They like my designs. And then they said, "Cynthia, you're a great trainer." And then they always say, "Cynthia, you're very analytical." And I'm like, what do they mean by being analytical? So over time, I realized all of those skills that they were telling me is what I need to build my business. So I was like, God, this is not for me. I'm a very creative person. I wanted to help people creatively, but I knew being a social worker, although great, was not for me because I was not living my true purpose. So then I branched out and I created Interconnected Brands. I created that because of the model I learned as a social worker. When you're a social worker, you want to be the best, and I was the best on my floor, right? But it was very overwhelming for me. But I learned effectiveness is that in order for you to be great, you have to wear multiple hats. So that's the whole idea behind Interconnected Brands. My major business is Beauty from Within Coaching and Consulting. That's the parent company. The foundation of that will be training, and that will never subside. Our niche is pageantry. So the reason why I chose pageantry is because when I was younger, I had a lot of I had a brain tumor. My whole left jaw was removed. As you can see, I have a trachea that helped me breathe. And so because my journey was so hard, that's why my business is called Beauty from Within. I never thought my beauty was from within. And I learned that my beauty actually came from within by competing in my first pageant when I was younger. And that everything that I've learned in life is what created beauty, right? Beauty from Within, coaching and consultant. And so as a pageant contestant my first time, I was so nervous. I didn't know that I could be great because I was shy, and it was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. But then I had a coach. She was I will never forget her. She was like, "Cynthia, you have everything in you. You could do great. You could do great. I want you to go in front of the state assembly." And I'm young. I'm like in my teens. "I want you to go in front of the state assembly and you could do this." She coached me, helped me improve on my critical thinking skills, right? And I went in front of the assembly. I spoke on children's rights. I had a standing ovation in my teens.
Oh, okay.
So ever since then, I said, if I ever become a business owner, I do want my business to focus on pageantry because it really helped me to get out of my shell. So again, that was the whole part of starting my business with training and using pageantry as like the foundation to train people, right? Teaching them their public speaking skills, interviewing skills, how to walk confidently, how to speak confidently with power, get the crown, right? Get the crown power. So out of that, I did really well. My company won like 2024, 2023 best in training. Right. And then I said, you know what? And now the video part and the digital marketing part, I was always good in that. When you in the American school system, when I came to America, I'm originally from Ghana, West Africa, and in the school system, they had something called technology classes and home education classes. Flash forward, those classes are now called the STEM program, right?
Okay.
Science, technology, entry, and math. I think it's science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM.
Yeah.
Prior to STEM, they had individual classes called tech ed and home economics. Those two classes I did really, really well. I developed my own technology. I created a rocket. In the home economics class, I designed my first interior design home, and everything every day like we had a test, I was passing everything.
We're talking about a lot of skills here.
Yeah, so as a child, I'm thinking, oh, this is just some creative stuff. This is just so fun. But everything that I needed to develop beauty was always within me. So the development of my business really taught me, Cynthia, God gave you everything you need to succeed. And that's why beauty is going to be an amazing thing, because you are the visionary. You are the one that actually lived that, and you identify the problem out there, and now you developed your business, which is an empowerment brand, digital tech focus, right? And it's been very helpful. And the model is wearing multiple hats so that you can best serve the individual you have in front of you. And I'll give you an example. So one of my pageant beauties, just turning 65 years old, right, competing in her first pageant, and she needed healthcare advice. I was able, wearing my multiple hats, able to help her with all of those, and she won her first pageant, and she had healthcare, So the model that I've created for my business is being the best that you can be to help that individual. So when my business is still, we're still in the growing phase. It's not like a multi-million-dollar company yet, but it'll get there. But I want somebody to come in. We do an assessment. What is your best outcome? What's your outcome, right? Your input is this. What are you going to put in there? And then I want us to assess them throughout the process. If it's pageantry that they're competing, cool, we got you on that, right? And then out of pageantry, you want to start your business, we help you with generating ideas, right? I'm good at generating. I think of ideas every day.
It's all about implementing those ideas.
Exactly. So the person needs to have the idea. So have you ever taken the Myers-Briggs personality test or the human design
Yes,
test?
I did.
Okay. So the Myers-Briggs personality test really tells you what your strengths and weaknesses are. All of my clients, I'm certified in that. I learned that in college, actually. I was an RA, and that's how I became certified. That taught me how to best work with my residents, right? So I use that same model within my business. That's where the life coach, transformational life coach, comes into play, my social work background. So each client that I am privileged to work with, I really give them an assessment, right? There's more assessments that I do, but it helps me have a bigger understanding. I'll give you an example. One of my pageant beauties came to me. She ended up starting her business and becoming a spokesperson, but in the process, right? Pageantry was her first in, right? So she found me. So she came through, gave her the assessment. Do you not know that her Myers-Briggs personality? No. So when we worked together and I told her she's a great communicator, she ended up winning her pageant, because her bio that she wrote, her so in a pageant, some pageants have a bio you have to write to introduce yourself and answering questions. We trained her on that. She did great on her critical thinking skills. She won. On top of that, she came back. We helped her with her business. We created a video for her, and it's just that change of command. So my first step is always to assess the individual. What is the best fit for you? My social work background, right? People first ideology. Is pageantry cool? But pageantry isn't your end goal, right? What are other parts of your end goal? I want to have a successful business. What happens in branding, right? I'm good in that. I'm good in marketing. So I help them with all of those things that develop their brand assets. Provide marketing strategy for them. Create innovative videos, all down the line, for them to know that their beauty comes from within, have the confidence that they need, and be successful. What I was going to say about the human design, like what you said earlier about having the idea is one, but execution is number two. And how it's so generated that a lot of people have ideas, but the execution comes hard because they're not manifesting generators. If you ever took the human design test, I think there are 5 personality types. For me, I'm a manifesting generator. That means I create the ideas and I execute. That's why everything works well for me. I know myself, right?
Okay.
So there are people
that you know what works for you the best.
Exactly. And so I always tell people on the coaching side, in order for you to be successful in business, I think the first step is knowing who you are.
Right.
That also brings confidence, and I believe in God. I believe that God has given everybody on this earth, no matter if you want to believe in him or not, your purpose, your skills, and talents. Now, he gave me when he was making me 5, and I know how to manage all 5 because of my human design type. I'm a manifesting generator. My mind sees things in a computer format, right? Each thing that I see has its own folder, and each folder has an outline of how I'm going to create everything. That's how my mind sees everything in life, right? I had a interview with one of the creator agencies, and I was like, yeah, I feel like, what's your creative process? And I'm like, well, I see things in my mind before I create them. They're like, what? I see it in my mind. Every day I wake up, I have colors, I have designs, right? That comes in my mind, and then I actually execute it and create it, and it comes to life because I can actually see the connections in my brain. So the first step in business, anything you want to do, you got to know who you are. And I wrote an article, 7 tips on identifying your purpose, and it did really, really well, right? The first step is self-discovery. And in your self-discovery, you might need some solitude time to really figure out what is best for you, right? Because, for example, everybody's like doing like digital marketing or anything like that. That is my purpose. So it's always going to work out for me. Right. Somebody can start digital marketing and it not work out for them because that's not their gift. They're watching everybody else do that and they think, hey, I need to do that too, but that's not your gift. I've seen so many people start like social media agencies and then it falls down the ground. Why? Because that's not their purpose. That's not their passion. It's never going to last if it's not you. The reason why it's working for me is because that's who I truly am. I didn't go to school for digital marketing. I didn't go to school for video creation. I was just born to create. So you got to know yourself. And the first step, writing things down. Write the things that you're really, really passionate about down. Right? Like for me, my parents, to everybody I come into contact with, they will say 2 things about me. Cynthia is a creative person. She's a good listener and very analytical. Those are the 3 things that you will know about me. Like if you talk to me for 10 minutes, you'll know that.
Yeah,
you know, all my life.
I could tell.
Yeah, see, before I even said anything.
Yeah.
So I knew that about myself, but I was like, okay, and at first, my creativity, I love dancing. You know, I did African dancing. I moved to LA actually when I was younger in my 20s, and I was like, I'm going to make it big. Before I had my business, I'm going to make it big. I'm going to be a great dancer. And it didn't work out for me, right? Because remember, I had a brain tumor. That brain tumor messed up my balance. So even though I'm a good dancer, I have to learn dance moves. It's hard for me to catch up really quickly. So I cried because I thought, wow, God, I failed. I thought this was my purpose in life, to be a dancer. But God was like, no, Cynthia, I'm repositioning you to be in alignment with what I really need you to do. Exactly. Yeah. So I love dancing, and yes, I could dance and everything like that. However, that was not the right vehicle for my creativity to come through. Right. The right vehicle was video. The right vehicle was strategy. That's who I am, right? And to top everything off was training as the foundation and leadership. That has always been there for me. And so I always tell people, what do people say about you the most? All my life, I got not even from my parents. Strangers, they will come. I went to Europe. I'm in Europe now, but I went to Montenegro. And I'm sitting there looking for shoes. And this guy comes to sit next to me. He was about like 50 years old. And he started telling me everything about his life. And I was like, what? You don't even know me.
They just had this feeling.
Yeah.
You know, just to share with you.
Exactly. And that has always happened to me. And that's why I became a social worker, because I knew people just felt drawn and talking to me. And that is also a strength within my business. That's why I created interconnected brands. People could just come and tell me, and they tell me their idea. They don't know how to get it out. And I always do it for them. I always bring it to vision for them. Because in my mind, remember, my mind is like a computer. I see things differently than everybody else. So they come to me, I'm like, oh, okay, this is what you mean. They're like, yes, Cynthia, that's what I mean. And boom, it works out. So you gotta know yourself, and how you know yourself is asking the people that you really care about, the people that you really love in your life, what do they see about you consistently? Not just one time, not just 2 times, consistently. Like I told you, everybody saw training in me. Everybody saw leadership in me. Everybody saw analytical skills in me, and I was very creative. I don't win much, but when I was in corporate America, every contest that I won was creativity.
So you're actually like most of them actually know that was in you.
Yes. And you know, the crazy thing, before I even knew of myself, when I was in corporate America, somebody came to me and they're like, Cynthia, you know, and talking to you and getting a chance to know you are truly a real entrepreneur in a 9-to-5 body. Now, mind you, I never thought about having a business. I thought about it, but I was like, I didn't think I would be great at being a business owner because I was a very shy person. Remember, pageantry is what really got me out of my shell.
Yeah.
And so I thought about it and I was like, I don't think I'll be very successful. But everybody saw that they're like, Cynthia, you will be a true entrepreneur. You're a true entrepreneur. You have great business skills. Now, I didn't go to school for an MBA. I went to school for social work, you know? I have a bachelor's in political science and healthcare. So that would not speak to like somebody owning their business, but I was always a creative person. I always had ideas, and strategy was number one foundation.
A lot of things not taught in school, unfortunately.
Exactly. And I always say, trust the process, right? God is never going to ever make you miss your destiny. But in order for you not to miss your destiny, you need to become aware of what he's putting in your life. And I'll give you an example. Like I said, remember, everywhere I went, people were telling me I was creative. It took me figuring out, okay, I'm creative. How is my creativity like coming out? What do I do that's just so effortless? I can close my eyes and just do it, creating videos. That is, I can go to bed, I wake up, I have visions in my mind, I create the videos, boom, the videos go viral, right? So that is my creativity. That's what I'm known for. But it was, even though when I was younger and I was always good in technology, I was always good in home economics, I never, until I became an adult, realized that is what I need to focus on. I had to go through a lot of stuff, right? But at the core, every time I spoke to somebody from the age of 13 and on, those are all the consistent things they said about me. So I would say to a person that's trying to really identify their purpose and what they're good at, because the goal is to help someone live abundantly, doing what you love, right? So I knew, remember, when I was a social worker, I said, I love helping people, but I wanted to help people creatively. I knew that as a social worker, that was not me. I would die being miserable. Like if I was married at the time and if I had kids, I would be a horrible parent because I would be so depressed in my life because that's not me, right? So, but God had to reposition me so I was in alignment. And I was in corporate America. My business was like a side hustle at the time, right? And then because I was like very nervous, I was like, let me teach my first class. I taught my first class, 1,000 people showed up. And it was dancing because at the time I'm like, oh, dancing is so easy for me or whatever. But when the people attended that class, at the end of the class, they asked me, Cynthia, how did you start your business? They asked me, how did you come up with these dance moves? You're very creative. Again, you are a good trainer, right?
So they're pointing out those things every time.
Every time. And right there is when you have to become aware because God is telling me all this from different people.
Yeah.
I had to be the one who was aware, like, hey, light bulb, hey, Cynthia, you need to start your own business because those are the skills that are you're really good at. Now, just because I know my purpose and I know what I'm passionate about doesn't mean that it's gonna happen right then and there, right? My business was like 10 years in coming, right? I always say slow and steady wins the race. Never go into business thinking that you're going to have instant gratification. It doesn't work like that. You know, when I was younger and I thought about it, like I wanted to have my business, I always wanted to be the woman version of Steve Jobs, Warren Buffett, and Bob Proctor. Now, last year, 2 years ago, I believe, it's on LinkedIn. Somebody compared my innovation to that of Steve Jobs. That was the best compliment I have ever received in my life. They're like, Cynthia, your innovation and what you do, your content creation, you're very similar to Steve Jobs with that innovation. I said, oh my gosh, that's a dream come true.
Unconsciously, you're doing what? Like you're moving on the right track.
Exactly. I'm in alignment with God's will for my life, and that's why it's coming effortlessly. It's not going to happen overnight. Right now, like if you go on my Instagram, it'll say top video content creator, but that didn't just happen like that. Remember, I've been creating videos all my life. And just recently being recognized for my videos that I create.
Yeah.
You see how that happened? Like it didn't happen just overnight. It was just over practicing, being consistent with my skill set, you know, and now people are recognizing what I do. And people internationally know me because of my videos. I'm like, wow, right? I create effects on TikTok. I am top 10 for effects worldwide.
Okay.
Right?
That's awesome.
And I was like, what the heck? And my uncle saw my digital marketing agency website for the first time. He was like, Ama, which is my Ghanaian name. My name is Cynthia Ama Janmia Appiah. He's like, Amma, this is such a nice website. And I was like, oh, thanks, Uncle. Thank you. You know, so now my family is become aware of what my natural gifts are, right? And I had to become aware. And oh my God, I will never forget this. So this is actually the thing that helped me become viral. When I moved to Dallas, remember my business was training, pageantry, and stuff like that. The digital marketing side was there. I was creating videos 1 and 2, but it wasn't like publicized like it is now, right? Beauty tech.
Yeah.
So I was getting emails from this like AI photography brand when I first moved to Dallas, like in 2021. And I was like, hey, I don't want to do this. I don't think I'll be successful at this at all, right? But this is how my AI skills were coming out. I didn't know this about me, right? Even though, remember, I was in corporate America doing data and analytics, Proton, Python, JavaScript. I was doing all that. Never knew it was part of this whole AI revolution, right? This is stuff that I was doing in corporate America. So it came to me and I was like, you know what? The email came to me 7 times. Again, that was God. If something is meant for you, no matter what you do, it's going to keep coming. And it's up to you to be smart enough to be aware that that is your opportunity. So when the opportunity came the 7th time, I said, you know what? Let me try. Maybe I'll be good at this, right? It's creating videos. It's not going to be that difficult. I created my videos for that platform. I became viral on the platform, and it was #1 worldwide. The platform was, and my videos are trending. It felt like I was a celebrity. Every day I was getting followers, and I was like, this is like a mini celebrity before it happened, right? Every day I was getting followers on my Facebook. I was getting followers on Instagram, TikTok. I was like, where are these people coming from? But they were coming from all around the world because of that app. And I was trending because of my videos. So that's what gave me the name Top Video Content Creator, and my video won. So that's to say, and that I added that knowledge to beauty tech.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, when you are really, don't listen to people that don't know you that well. Listen to your family members, what they keep saying, like, wow, you know what? You love helping people, and I see that you love to draw. And that's how you help people, right? Is that a consensus thing? What everybody's saying about you? And then I always say, write down your passions in life, right? All 10 of it down. Number them from 1 to 10. The ones that get the high score, keep those on your list. And my manager, her name, I will never forget her name because her name is the same as my mom's, Joanna. And she was like, Cynthia, every time and I was, that was like my 3rd job out of college. I was their marketing assistant, healthcare administrator, right? And I had to create their like business proposals, right, for healthcare. And I also had to create their designs for like their flyers. I had to create these reports, but every time I would create the report, it would be my designs. And every day she was like, Cynthia, this is so nice. This is better than the one before. But you know what? Let's come at it tomorrow with a new set of eyes and look at it. If it still looks good, then that's what we're going to publish, right? So I use that method in my business and training people, especially if they come to see me for like the transformational life coach, not the things that I do. I'm like, okay, write all those things down. Now narrow them from 1 to 10. The ones that really got the high score, take those out, right? 1 to 5. Now come at it again with another set of eyes tomorrow. Are those scores still the same? If they're still the same, then move on to the next step, right? And then now out of the things that you have written down, and when you went to ask your family members, and they said the same thing that you have on your paper, and then they say, you know what? I can see you doing this. You take your Myers-Briggs personality test. You know what your strengths and weaknesses are. You know that you want to help people so well, but you don't know how. You're going to help people with your purpose. That's your purpose. What you are brought on this earth to do is your purpose. Right. It usually comes in the form of a gift that God has given you, and you become aware to that, right? And, I do pageantry, so I see kids from 4 years old all the way to my oldest client was like 85 years old. And the small kids, they always have what they're going to do. As a parent, you need to make sure that you bring that gift out because God has given that gift. If you don't nurture it, and that's how you get a lot of people who are depressed, they're not happy in what they're doing because you never nurtured that. And when they got older, they're like, oh, they never focused on what their true purpose was, right? And then so when you see that as a parent, you need to nurture. If you have a child that they can't stop sitting down, they're always dancing, that is part of their gift. That is part of their purpose in this world. If you have a child that's like, Mama, I love to draw, and every single day that person is drawing, that is part of their gift. And when they're born, your gift is not going to be perfect, right? You need to become aware of what the gifts are and cultivate that. Once you cultivate it and you're helping people consistently, you do. You know how there's a saying, I forgot who said it, do what you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. That is such a true statement, because for me, it's a joy when I create my videos. I've created 2,000 videos plus. I never once thought that was a problem because I like what I do. You know what I mean? I'm always thinking, what can I do next? What can I do that? And training people, that's not a problem for me because that's who I am. So I think I'll get back to that story, but like in order for you to be great at anything in business, you really need to know yourself. You really need to know what your gifts are. Then you really need to know how you're going to solve somebody's problem.
Right.
If you're able to solve the person's problem with your gifts, boom, it's a win-win situation. Win-win situation. And remember, I told you I wanted to always run a business. I didn't know I was going to be successful until I had my first class that 1,000 people showed. And remember, I said I wanted to be the woman version of Steve Jobs. I think that's a check, right? Because my work is innovative, right? And then Bob Proctor with personal development, transformational life coach. Get the crown pile with my pageant beauties. It's all about a mindset, growth mindset, right? And then Warren Buffett as a consultant. I'm a pageant consultant. The title they gave me was like the world's greatest pageant consultant. So I have achieved, okay? it's not perfect yet, but it's getting there, right? On the trajectory of being successful. And I'm okay with that. I'm enjoying the ride as you get there, right? God gave me my end vision. I saw it. Now I have to make the steps and follow and be in alignment with God's will for me, and I will only get there. It's not gonna. What I love about Warren Buffett, if you ever read his story or if you ever saw a video of his life, oh my gosh, he ran his own business by himself for 7 years. He started it from the ground up. Once he started making money and seeing the real cash, because he's an investment, right? We're both consultants, but his consulting is investment, mine is pageantry, personal development, all that stuff. But he stuck in he hired no staff. He was doing everything by himself. And when he started making money, real return on investment from his own skill set, that's when he started hiring people. And now he's like one of the richest people in this country, starting from scratch. He didn't come from much, and he still has an empire. And that is the goal that I'm following as well, right? So people used to laugh at me because I started the business. They're like, hey, you don't have a team yet. It doesn't matter. I had me. And I could do 5 things well. And now I'm building my team, and teams that I'm building, they're becoming great because
everything takes time.
Exactly. So that's why when I see these videos of people saying, you just started a business, but you're working your business by yourself. You don't even have a business. You do have a business. You are starting from the ground up, and it's okay. If you go into your business right now and then you hire a staff, and you don't have clarity, by the 5th year, your business is going to fall because you don't have clarity. And then you're depending on other people instead of you leading the way with your own vision. If I started my business and somebody, while I'm in like year 1, somebody, hey, Cynthia, the name shouldn't be beauty. Hey, Cynthia, it shouldn't be pageantry. I wouldn't have a business because I'm listening to that person and not listening to my own internal advice, which is my guidance, my intuition, which I believe is.
And you'll get distracted as well if everyone just tells you and you follow this, you follow that, and
exactly,
and follow everyone's perspective.
Exactly right. And even Jeff Bezos, he ran his business from the basement for many, many years by himself. And then once he started making traction, that's when you hire people. That is the right business model. You don't just go into business and be like, I got 10 people that I'm going to work. Each 10 person, if you don't have clarity, it's going to mess up your clarity. It's best to do it solo. Because once you have clarity, once you have a powerful business plan, that's the blueprint, right? For you're going to be your success. And then eventually, once you start making money in your own business, then build on that and maybe hire a virtual assistant. What is the best model for you? Right? And out of that virtual assistant, you see more leads coming in, then maybe phase 3, hire an employee, 1 employee, right? You're the one who's going to manage everything. So in the beginning, yes, it's not that you're getting the ingredients in the soup together. You know what I'm saying? Right. And then you execute with excellence. You can't just run a business and have all these people. So whenever I see that video pop up, somebody's trying to sell you on like, oh, I can run your business for you, or you need a team. If you don't have clarity, that's not going to work. You could pay all the money in the world. That's not going to work for you. It's so funny because the things that I see that people do in marketing is just, it's a crack. It makes me crack up because people think that I saw this video real and the guy was like, You don't have to run ads to have a successful marketing agency. I mean, for you to have a successful business, you don't have to run ads at all. And I was like, what are you doing? What you're doing is an ad that you're running right now, right? So I'm like, and the crazy thing is they have all this money because, maybe they came from money or something like that. And so for them, is like an easy selling point, right? You might see them with more followers than me, and you might think that they're the best one. You get food exactly right. You don't need a lot of You know how TikTok found me? I created a 3D video. At the time, I didn't have a lot of followers. So I was just designing and having fun. I just created my own video. And then one day, I always say TikTok discovered me. One day they say, hey, come to an effect house and create an effect. I didn't have a lot of followers, but they saw my skill. That's the thing. It doesn't matter if you have a lot of followers, but the views were there, the impressions were there. Those are two ingredients that are very successful. And they found me. I didn't have that many followers at the time, right? And then once I joined that AI photographer and brand, and then my video went viral, that's when I started getting like a lot of followers and stuff.
Yeah.
But I just was doing what I love to do, and look at the magic that happened from doing what I love to do, being in alignment with God's will for me. Because I was smart enough to pick up the signs that God was tossing in my mind, in my life, right? And I went to, oh my God, this is the most crazy thing. I went to a conference, and the people that sat right next to me, they were marketing and branding before I even went and created beauty tech. Crazy.
That's,
and then,
that's
crazy. And I was like, God, what are you telling me? Okay, God, I have accepted my destiny. That's what I said. I remember that day. I said, God, I have accepted my destiny. Okay. And then that's when I became top video content creator. And then it's so funny. And I was like, I can't believe this. Out of all the people in the room, why do they come and sit next to me? So I always say, know yourself, have clarity, develop a powerful brand. And you might work in that brand for a long time by yourself, and it's okay. You just need to have clarity, because the top strong clarity that you have, nobody can say anything about it.
Right.
Right now, nobody can tell me, oh, I don't like the name of your business. I like it. I have a reasoning as to why my business is called Beauty From Within. That's my trademark, right? And then as I explain my story, you see why it's called Beauty From Within, right? And so your brand is your why.
Okay. I would love to know, like, let's say when a client comes to you and say, what are they usually struggling with, like beneath the surface?
For my type of clients,
yeah.
A lot of times they come to me because they lack confidence in themselves.
Okay.
And the thing is, they'll come to me, like, for example, if it's a business, they'll come to me with a great idea, but they don't believe in themselves.
Just to implement that, or just to execute.
Yeah. They don't believe that. And I'm like, wow, that's such a great idea. Maybe sometimes I think it's just somebody telling them you have something great.
I see a lot of people get some amazing ideas, but they don't go for this execution. They don't have that trust that they'll be able to do it, and they'll be able to manage the whole thing.
But you know what I've noticed? When people come to me and they have a great idea, I tell them, talk it out. Do you see the end goal? That's the most important thing. If you see the end goal of what you want to create, you will be able to create it successfully, period, right? Because if your brand is your why now. Right. So if you have a why are you doing this? And that why is so powerful, and you're able to speak from the A to Z of that why.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You got a business. Now the business takes a long time, right? In order for you to generate all that. But if you don't have a firm foundation, your business is going to crumble. Okay. That firm foundation can take like 5 years to build.
Yeah.
And I always say to people, in that 5 years that you are building your business, market yourself like crazy. Go to networking events. Tell people, me, I don't really like to talk, but because I want to be great at what I do, I have to talk. Like I'm talking to you right now, I'd rather do a video. That doesn't require me to speak, but I'm speaking to you because I want you to understand my business model, and I want to be great at what I do. So I have to talk, right? So go to networking events, have a business card on you. Always. I'm starting up a new branch of Beauty From Within music, music, because I love to sing, and I also can create beats, right? That comes from my video editing skill sets. One of the singers that I'm working with, I told her, you might not have a business per se, but your song, your music career, that's your business. You are an entrepreneur because of that. So when you go out into crowds and you want people to listen to you and know who you are, and they say, hey, what do? Give them your business card. What is your business card going to say? I'm a singer. right? Or a musician, right?
Yeah.
Contact information, your face on the business card, how they contact you, boom. Over time, you're gonna give that card out. That one person that you give it out to, maybe they need a singer for their wedding.
Right.
That's your first paying job.
They just got you, yeah.
And it's just that simple. You go to networking events, you talk to people, really like-minded individuals. So I would say when you're building your business, the first step, don't worry about the leads yet. Actually, I had a company reach out to me, and I said, this is how it was also great. I knew that I was good at marketing. I hired a marketing agency, and they did such a horrible job. I cried, okay, because all the money that I had saved, I went into that marketing company, and they did not deliver. And when they sent out the emails, I told them there was an error. I could just sense it. I was like, there's an error there. It did not deliver it correctly. They, oh, yes, Cynthia did. And then I purchased leads from them. Don't ever purchase leads. It was like, they're like, oh, these are active leads. They're all dead leads. I spent so much money. Long story short, what I told the representative, I gave him like 10 tips. The CEO started following me on all my platforms. That's how I knew I was great at it. I ran my first video. Hello? Okay.
Yeah.
I ran my first video ad. The ad did so well that I ended up getting a gift card from the platform. That's how I knew I was going to be great at what I do, right? And when you are starting a business, especially like digital marketing, people's like, that's their first focus, leads. But nobody knows about you yet. So for me,
they don't understand how to actually implement everything. They need to understand how do you think, how are you gonna implement that? What's your way of thinking and implementing all, like literally everything? Do you want to understand each and every detail in your business before just giving you all these leads? Or
I mean, like, if you got all these leads, good, and you might get maybe out of the 100 leads, you might get 5, but would they want to come back and do repeat business with you? No, you need to have a very good, firm foundation, and that takes time to build that credibility. Right? So for me, I will always say do the organic marketing, right? Go out, give your business cards out. Number 1, maybe within a month, go to 2 networking events. You can go to Meetup, find people, like-minded individuals. If they have any free events, go give out your business card. That's how I started out. When I moved to Dallas, everybody was like, you're crazy because you don't have any family here. How are you going to make it? But 4 years later, I'm the top video content creator. Okay, I got all these people. And how I started, Meetups, Eventbrite, I just gave up my business cards.
You didn't just listen to those people who were just meant to, they're just spreading negativity, in my point of view.
Yeah, I always say don't listen to that. Focus on your own guidance. God gave everybody a GPS, which is your God positioning system within you. And I say that's your intuition. What does God say? Listen to that. Don't listen. When I moved to Dallas, I was listening to what God told me. And everybody thought I was crazy. Somebody actually sent me a text message and I'm thinking, oh, they're going to say, oh, good luck, Cynthia. No. COVID-19 is so bad in Texas. You don't want to move there. That's the first thing they say. And I was like, if I was not strong enough and I didn't have clarity, I would listen to that and miss what God's destiny was for my life. Listening to somebody who's a naysayer who never got out of their comfort zone. So what I will leave to your audience, when you are growing a business, slow and steady is always the win-win situation, right? Promote yourself like crazy. Organic marketing. Give out your business card. Run video ads, right? Tell them what your business is really, how it solves their problem in a creative way. Have your content that you create is very aesthetically pleasing. That's what I'm known for. My content, it sticks out. Why does it stick out? Because it's so uniquely designed. It's not just call us today. It has like really beautiful pictures, that gravitates people. The videos are me being innovative and talking about what I love to do. People can somebody says something, I love how you talk about your business. You're so passionate about it because I created what I love doing, So that's why I'm passionate about it. So organic marketing, have clarity. Then once you start a business, develop a brand, right? It takes time to develop a brand. What's your why? Why are you doing that? What's the problem that you're trying to solve for somebody?
Yeah.
How are you going to communicate what your business solves for that person? Organic marketing. Grow your followers. I would say grow your email marketing list first before you actually start, I need leads. No, grow your marketing by email campaigns, right? We get a subscriber on our email campaigns like every day because our stories are not just generic, buy this, buy that. Or like our marketing company could do it for you. No, it's like my life story, my digital marketing assistant's life story, how we built confidence, right? Step by step. Some days I'll be like, okay, I'm promoting a product and I'll tell them, hey, click on this link to buy the product. But a majority of our content that we push out is empowerment content.
Right.
That is what's going to get into somebody's mind. And eventually, when you're able to build that trust, boom, you get a client for life. That's a guarantee. And that client that you get, because they like your style, is going to now tell other people about you.
Yeah, they just gonna become your loyal clients. No, it's not gonna change by time.
Mm-hmm. And the last thing I'm gonna say is, when you're running a business as well, and if it's a service-based business, you need to be good in sales, period.
Yeah.
In sales, sales is the transference of energy and belief. So if you are telling somebody that you really believe in your product, you really believe in your service, it's going to translate that passion to that individual. It's happened all the time. So before I started my business, I was a marketing executive for Hilton. And I did other companies as well. And I was always the top producer there. And I learned to be great in sales, right? Because of that as a background. And the vice president will never forget me. She was like, Cynthia, how do you do this? Every time you talk to somebody, they won't buy that day, but they will always come back and reference your name and buy even double. How do you do that? And I was telling her, well, I never force anybody to buy nothing. I simply go and I be myself, be authentic, tell them how that product is going to solve their problem. If they are an analytical person and they sit down and think like, you know what, this is really going, don't force them. This is really going to help me. I guarantee you 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, they will become your client. I'll give you last story. My client, agent client, I talked to her 2 years and I thought I did a bad job. Right? I thought, oh, she didn't want to become my client anymore. Maybe my fees were too high or whatever. No. The 3rd year she came to me, she said, Cynthia, I was saving up for you. And I said, wow, you still remember me after all these years? She's like, yeah, Cynthia, what you said to me was powerful. That's the key.
Okay. So you done your job the right way. They actually got your words and they were actually getting ready for that. So
yeah,
I totally agree on that. So why do you think coaching is becoming like more important now?
I think coaching is becoming so important because you are really, so in social work, there are 2 schools, right? Of social work. There is the Jane Addams, that's me, teach somebody how to fish and they'll be able to fish for the rest of their life. And then there's Mary Richmond, who kind of was like, I'm going to be there and hold your hand. That's why I call myself a pageant consultant and not so much a coach per se. And then for the life coaching, I have like transformational. I am transforming you to be the best version of yourself by empowering you to be great. Right. So I think that's why coaching is so important, because you're empowering that individual to be great. For me, they come to me, I'm going to empower them and let them know what they're great at. We're going to develop your clarity and boom, you're going to execute with precision to get there. So that is why I believe coaching is so powerful. Because you're going to sit that person down, and it's not just every coach. You got to really find a coach that speaks to you. And I hired a business coach, and what that business coach told me is not what I'm doing. It did not fit well with me at all. But then again, that's because I knew myself. If I didn't know myself and I went to that coach, she did not know that she actually gave me a gift. She gave me a brand archetype assessment. The brand archetype assessment that I took showed that I had 5 highly important skill set. They were all scored high, 100 on all of them. What she told me was, Cynthia, the people that score high on all 5, they have to choose one and focus on that area. But I couldn't do that because I know that I'm good at all of those. All of those are my purpose areas, and I'm interested in all 5 of them. So I can't just focus on one thing, because for me, that's why I created interconnected brands. Had I listened to her, I only would have done like my dancing, right? But then I wouldn't have been able to help on my pageant beauties. I wouldn't have been able to create these videos for brands if I had just focused on one area. So she didn't know what she told me. So that's why I said you got to have clarity. You got to know if you're really stronger in one area or you're stronger in all 5. Are you a multifaceted individual? Are you just a person who focuses on one thing? And that's cool, right? In the Bible, read Matthew chapter 25, verse 14 through 30. God gives everybody a gift and skill on this earth. Some people have 1. Some people have 2. I have all 5. The goal is to steward that gift and empower the world with that gift. And don't let fear stop you, because now you are in alignment with God's will. And things sometimes will fall apart. That's cool, but God will always have something better. This is a testimony. God will always have something better. And it might not come right then. It might come in 5 years. but it'll always be something better. You got to
Yeah.
trust the process.
Most of the work, actually, I believe it's just by showing up. If you show up, it's must like would say 70, it would be 70% of the work that you're gonna do,
Yeah. And be consistent.
right?
And don't care about what anybody else says that does not have your vision. You know, when I started my business, people would laugh at me like, Cynthia, how does healthcare fit into your model? How does digital marketing fit into your model? You know, I don't understand that. And then, you know, I used to sell candles that were sold out. They're like, how does that fall into your business? That's all empowerment. Some people use candles to help them really empower themselves. That I see things as a holistic model, and I see how things connect. That's why I created interconnected brands, because I see that. So, and people laughed at me because in their minds, they only saw one thing being successful, and that's cool, right? They don't see multiple things, but their brain isn't like mine. So
Yeah.
it all comes down to knowing yourself, right?
Right now, let's say, like, what kind of people do you feel most called to help?
For me, I've worked with men and women, but women business owners is who I work with, because I feel like sometimes in the women population, that's where you have imposter syndrome. Maybe men have imposter syndrome, but I don't know. I'm a woman, so I can only speak on my behalf. And sometimes you think you're not great. So I work with a lot of women business owners for that, and helping them improve themselves, and seeing their vision is great, right? They just need somebody to bring their beauty from within out. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So that has been really insightful. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing all this, and thank you for your honesty. Very stood out. And for the audience out there, they will really enjoy this.
Thank you.
For the audience, thank you so much for listening, and see you in the next episode. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night. Thank you for having me on. Bye-bye.
Right,